Princess Elizabeth of the United Kingdom was the seventh child and third daughter of King George III and Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. After marrying the Landgrave of Hesse-Homburg, Frederick VI, she took permanent residence in Germany as landgravine. Early life. The Princess Elizabeth was born at Buckingham House, London on the 22nd of May 1770. Her father was the reigning British monarch George III, the eldest son of Frederick, Prince of Wales and Augusta of Saxe-Gotha. Her mother was Queen Charlotte. She was christened in the Great Council Chamber at St. James's Palace on the 17th of June 1770 by Frederick Cornwallis, the Archbishop of Canterbury. Her godparents were the hereditary Prince of Hesse-Kassel, the Princess of Nassau-Weilburg and the Crown Princess of Sweden. The princess' upbringing was very sheltered and she spent most of her time with her parents and sisters. King George and Queen Charlotte were keen to shelter the children, particularly the girls. However, in 1812, Princess Elizabeth purchased the priory at Old Windsor in Berkshire as her private residence. Elizabeth was her mother's favourite daughter. She was described as clever and rather demanding. Her sisters called her Fatima because of her weight problems. Clandestine marriage. It is alleged that Princess Elizabeth went through a form of marriage with George Ramus and bore him a daughter, Eliza. In 1788, George Ramus was the son of Nicholas Ramus, who had been page to Elizabeth's father King George. Any such marriage would have been null and void under the Royal Marriages Act 1772, but several of Elizabeth's brothers contracted similar alliances with commoners before marrying German princesses later in life. Eliza Ramus was allegedly adopted and brought up by her uncle, Henry Ramus of the East India Company. She married James Money, also of the East India Company, and her daughter Marian Martha married George Wynyard Batty, a Bengal judge. In widowhood, Eliza Ramus lived at 28 Chester Square in London, where she educated her Batty grandsons, all 10 of whom became army officers, and cared for them when they were on sick or convalescent leave from India. Marriage. In 1808, Elizabeth was reluctantly obliged to decline a proposal from the exiled Duke of Orleans due to his Catholicism and her mother's opposition. During a ball in the British royal court in 1814, Elizabeth got to know the German Prince Frederick of Hesse-Homburg. When Elizabeth saw the Austrian officer in his elegant hussar's uniform, she is supposed to have said, "If he is single, I will marry him." Against all resistance, the wedding took place on the 7th of April 1818 in the private chapel in Buckingham Palace in Westminster. It was not a real love match, in spite of the mutual understanding and respect. In fact, it was an agreement with which both were satisfied. Elizabeth was able to escape the constrictive environment of her home by moving to Germany with her husband, and Frederick gained many advantages by becoming allied with the British royal family. Later life. On the 20th of January 1820, Frederick succeeded his father as the Landgrave of Hesse-Homburg. Thanks to Elizabeth's dowry and annual allowance, he was able to remodel the palace in Homburg. For her part, Landgravine Elizabeth could bid farewell to the rigid court etiquette she had disliked in England and, as one would say today, find herself as she could do much as she liked in her new environs. She died on the 10th of January 1840 at age 69 in Frankfurt am Main, Hesse, Germany. She was buried in the mausoleum of the Landgraves, Homburg, Germany. Exposition 2010. Das grafische Werk der Landgravin Elisabeth 1770–1840, Museum im Goetheschen Haus Bad Homburg, Germany. Titles, Styles, Honors and Arms. titles and styles. The 22nd of May 1770 to 7 April 1818, Her Royal Highness the Princess Elizabeth. The 7th of April 1818 to 20 January 1820, Her Royal Highness the Hereditary Princess of Hesse-Homburg. The 20th of January 1820 to 2 April 1829, Her Royal Highness the Landgravine of Hesse-Homburg. The 2nd of April 1829 to 10 January 1840, Her Royal Highness the Dowager Landgravine of Hesse-Homburg. Arms. As of 1789, as a daughter of the sovereign, Elizabeth had use of the arms of the kingdom, differenced by a label argent of 3 points, the centre point bearing a cross gules, the outer points each bearing a rose gules. Ancestors.